Welcome on in, Browns fans. What a big-time win. Game-winning field goal in the first week of the season against Baker Mayfield and the Panthers. We're going to break down what happened offensively. Jacoby Brissett, Amari Cooper, some of the guys, some of the names that really didn't really have their best game. We'll tell you and go inside the numbers on that. We'll also look at the defensive side of football. Myles Garrett, I'll tell you right now, was a monster. We'll do that coming up as well. And then we'll talk a little bit about around the league. AFC North games, Cincinnati and Pittsburgh was a really big-time game that came down to the wire. We'll tell you what we learned from that. We're going to do it all on the day after episode of the Locked On Browns podcast.
You are Locked On Browns, your daily Cleveland Browns podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome back, my friends, to the show that never ends, your daily delivery of all things Dog Pound. LGB on the LOB, the Locked On Browns podcast, brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network. Victory Monday. Your host, Jeff Lloyd, at Jeff_LJ_Lloyd, Mr. Garrett Bush, part of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, 11 to 1 live on YouTube. Of course, 92.3 The Fan, the barbershop. Garrett is everywhere this fall. Make sure you're following at GBush91. So you can keep up with Garrett. I know he's having a hard enough time keeping up with himself at this point. Look, Victory Monday, a huge one yesterday. Cade York lining one up, basically lined up from Virginia and smashes it through the uprights. Little draw on it as he got it going right and come right down dead center. The rookie kicker. For Cade York, there may not be a bigger day as far, maybe the wins, where they come from. But you walk into your first NFL game, 4 field goals, game winner from 58 yards out, pretty much just became the toast of the town in one day. The Browns winning on week 1. Well, I'll put this all in perspective, folks. My wife and I are about to celebrate our 18th wedding anniversary in October. We've got a sophomore and a freshman in high school. So you all want to talk about how long this period has been? When you try to tell any given team, similar to what the Dallas Cowboys now have to do, when you try to tell a team, look, you got to hold it down for 3 months without your starting quarterback. That is a huge, and I mean an absolutely huge task. But we got a lot of solid football players here within this locker room. That is what we learned. And for everybody who joined us yesterday, to launch a live post-game show, we could have not gotten a better scenario. We kind of all had a feeling how that we thought that was going to go. If we are starting a Hall of Fame today, after yesterday's show, Cade York, you are the first inductee. If Kareem Hunt was on this team last year for more than 7 games, it could have made a drastic difference in the fortunes of the Cleveland Browns. You see, look, Nick Chubb just finding holes, finding daylight. One run, he was 23 yards before he even got contacted. You're tired. You're chasing Nick Chubb everywhere. And here comes Kareem. And, we know what Stump Mitchell says with Kareem. Patience, patience, patience. Let the play develop. And Kareem, it's just like, look, I know you guys are tired. I'm tired watching Nick Chubb run all over the place. Now I'm just going to run through you because you're a little bit gassed from chasing Nick Chubb around the field. So incredible. But Garrett, if you told me, and we sit down today and you look at this statistical production, Amari Cooper, 3 receptions for 13 yards. David Njoku, 1 for 7. Jacoby Brissett, 18 for 34, 140. And we're talking about a Browns win? Ain't no way in the world we would believe that.
We would have took that and ran with it. Jacoby Brissett, your number 1 receiver, and pretty much a guy that you felt you were going to target coming into the game, had that type of performance, had that type of production, we would have thought we've been singing doom and gloom all day and all week getting ready for the Jets. But I think that just goes to, and you've said this multiple times, it just goes to the fact, and it's kudos to the rest of the roster when you look at people and how they played the game. The roster is very talented. The roster is versatile. It's a lot of team speed on this roster. And I just need to really, we were on the post-game show, and we didn't even talk about Nick Chubb until I think 35 or 40 minutes into the broadcast. And it's crazy because Nick Chubb just goes about his work. It just goes about the way he does things. But when you talk about running the football, I mean, one guy couldn't tackle him. One guy can't, and that's the thing about 8-man boxes, right? When you have 8-man boxes, yeah, it's difficult because generally speaking, you're going to have one guy coming free all the time. Maybe a safety and run support, or your force safety, or your spill safety. That's your contained safety coming down into the box and trying to make a play. Well, the thing with Nick Chubb is that one player never seems to be able to tackle him. One guy can't bring him down. When you talk about his elusive rating, is one of the highest, the most elusive players in all of the NFL. And so even if you got 8 guys in the box, you're in position to make the play. It's easier said than done to try to tackle the guy. Great feet, good balance. Right when you think you had him from the backside, he steps out of the tackle. Yards after contact, he gives you all of that. I thought Kareem Hunt, on the other hand, did something, showed his versatility. All these positions he lined up at. And I'll give Kevin Stefanski credit because we wondered whether or not he was going to have the creativity or the stomach to put him back in the backfield at the same time. Kareem Hunt played flexed out at receiver. Kareem Hunt was in the slot. Kareem Hunt played fullback, caught a touchdown, converted a first down as a fullback. And now you see why you don't need a fullback. You got a guy that can block. You got a guy that can catch, and you got a dynamic pass receiver. Kareem Hunt, the best fullback in the game. Kareem Hunt could play tight end if he wanted to. So I liked all of those things, and what I loved most too. And you opened the show with this. Donovan Peoples-Jones showed me a lot. It wasn't the amount of yards he had. He showed that he was dependable. He showed that if you throw it to him and you put it on him, he made contested catches in traffic, catches that you had to go down low for, catches you had to go up high for. He completed all of them, and he did it in crunch time, handed the ball back to the ref, and kept doing it. I thought he was great too. It's really a lot of encouraging things when they look at this film that you're going to see from not only the veterans, but some of the younger guys that they're going to be counting on.
Some big things for us that we've been talking about is, what are you going to get out of the young receivers? You combine Anthony Schwartz and Donovan Peoples-Jones. I guess it was about 9 touches for 100 yards. That's going to play. That dog's going to play. That'll work. Keep in mind, David Bell played, but wasn't really a factor in any way. You think David Bell eventually? I think you and we kind of more confident what David Bell can do. Donovan Peoples-Jones, and this is what was huge about it. And like you said, look, there were balls that were in the dirt at his feet. Got low, got him, blowing away. I mean, he looked like a catcher with a bad rookie pitcher who's got a 99-mile-an-hour fastball, but like Bull Durham style, has no idea where in the world it's going. Up and away, down and low at the feet. They all aren't always going to be perfectly put on your numbers, but the ones who are worth their grain of salt understand, hey, man. And look, part of this is because this is what Jacoby was purposely doing. This was the window of opportunity for these passes to be completed. And we've seen Donovan struggle at times before with these types of balls. I had no issues with him yesterday. Look, and the thing with Kareem, and we talked about this 100 times, get your 5 list skill players on the field. And Kareem, like you were just saying, I don't need a position definition for Kareem Hunt. If he wants to play halfback, he wants to play fullback, wants to line up as a third tight end, wants to line up as a slot wide receiver. He is one of the best 5 players I have on offense. He's going to play as much as he can breathe for. So really, really smart job by Stefanski yesterday. And even Amari Cooper, yes, the production, you look at the stat line, no. But that one early where he dusted the cornerback, that's on Jacoby. Your receiver's that wide open. It's not about dropping a pass in there. It was a third down. You drill him right in the chest there. Amari Cooper catches it. If he beats the safety, takes it to the house, he does. Drew the huge pass interference. You factor that into a stat line. Now you're talking, 5 for 70 and a score. A little bit more of what we're going to expect from Amari Cooper. David Njoku, the time's going to be. It's certainly going to be there. But hey, the problem, it isn't a problem. The Browns won. So nobody's, I didn't get my ball. And look, we've had players in the past that would have walked out of that stadium in Carolina yesterday saying, my stat line, man, my stat line. That wasn't the way it was yesterday. Everybody walked out of there with the Cheshire Cat grin, knowing that they needed that W. G. Bush, Jeff Lloyd. We're going to flip it up here. We're going to get the defensive side of the ball here. You saw some smart things from this defense yesterday. And I tell you what, we talked about it. And is this the year where maybe defensive player of the year is in the sights of one number 95? And I got to tell you, it might be one of the most complete games I've seen Myles Garrett play in his time here with the Cleveland Browns. Jeff Lloyd, Garrett Bush, your latest Locked On Browns. I don't even know where to start with Bryco. You guys got to check out their ads on YouTube. Absolutely hysterical. If you're the moron who loses jewelry on a bridge by a lake, or the guy who kicks the engagement ring off the side, well, you're going to need Bryco. You don't want to be that guy, and you certainly don't want it splattered all over the internet. The guys at Bryco Jewelry Insurance will make sure you get a replacement for the full value of that ring, no matter if it's lost, stolen, or you just can't figure out what happened to it. Go to bright.co/locked on. It's fastest, easiest, cheapest way to cover your butt with the best jewelry insurance in the business. We all hate insurance, right? These guys at Bryco turn the whole experience around. So it's probably the easiest thing you can do for yourself this week. No excuses, man. For $5 a month, you can get totally comprehensive coverage, and it won't take you more than 2 minutes on your cell phone. Check it out. bright.co/locked on. You guys got to see the commercials. They're hysterical, and you want to align yourself with the company just by advertising. I highly recommend you go ahead and check out Bryco.
Welcome back to the Locked On Browns podcast. G. Bush and Jeff Lloyd in the building. Make sure you go and get us on YouTube, man. So every single game, as you noted, me and Jeff are on the Browns post-game show, the 2-minute warning, we call that. It'll be on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show page for on YouTube. So if you haven't done that, subscribe to the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. However, hey, you can still find that right here every single Sunday. If you're a guy that just listens to watch Locked On Browns, you listen to our podcast, and that's where you get your information, just go ahead, be ready to go. Have those notification bells on, because we will simulcast the post-game show directly from the Locked On Browns podcast. So down the stretch, the Browns had a 2-score lead. They just had to be a little smarter in the way they called that game. You can't run a defense where it depends on 100% communication and passing receivers coming through your zone. When you're running quarters coverage, you're basically trying to figure out, hey, who has the flat? Who's going to carry number 1 or number 2? And what happened is, John Johnson III jumped the flat route. Then you had Newsome, who was expecting safety help over the top in his quarters coverage. He carried him, and he only carried him to a certain extent. Robbie Anderson ran right by him up the seam, and you saw Grant Delpit kind of looking over there like, hey, man, I'm over here because I'm over here in bracket coverage on number 2 on this side. It was a miscommunication. In that circumstance, I'm coming out in the cover 2 shell, and my safeties are deep as the deepest. I got my linebacker dropping 15 yards in the zones. I got people in the hook zone. If they want to, especially if I got Myles Garrett and Clowney and some of the individuals, I think you definitely come with 4, you rush with 4, and you make them take a snap every single second and drive down the field 75 yards. No big plays, no one-shot plays.
That point, man, I'm dropping 7, I'm rushing 4. Look, Baker Mayfield was never hot yesterday, was never in a rhythm. So the opportunity was there where, hey, even if he gets another touchdown here, it's probably going to take 10, 11, 12 snaps. That was my thought process there. I mean, look, and it was a gimme throw. It was. But for Baker mentally, he needed it after last year. You needed to say, hey, am I back? Am I healthy? Receiver was wide open. Hit him. Robbie Anderson, we had talked about this during the week. Robbie Anderson, kind of a one-trick pony. That's his one trick. And for all the guys to not pay attention, I'm not worried about DJ Moore running a 3-yard route. I'm making sure somebody's covering Robbie Anderson trying to go 75 yards. So, I love Joe Woods. Look, they're always going to be a blip on the radar. But that's one where, look, man, we're rushing 4. We're dropping 7. I've got Alex Wright. I got Chase Winovich. I got a bunch of pass rushers. Miles gives me the wave, says, yo, I need to get out off this field for a play or 2. No problem. I got a guy to rotate in. Getting to Myles Garrett. And that poor rookie, look, I think for the most part, the kid did the best he could. But Myles Garrett, his run integrity, his understanding, his defensive assignment was top. I'm going to tell you right now, I guarantee his PFF grade is through the stinking charts. Myles Garrett was everywhere he needed to be yesterday. And even though you're talking about a player that you're going to give a free pass sometimes if he just freelances, because that's how talented he is. And then the other thing that truly impressed me about the way this defensive line worked yesterday is, Baker Mayfield. All these guys know Baker Mayfield. So you want to know what? What do they know? There's one ish. Baker Mayfield's only 6 feet tall. That ain't ever going to change. So guess what? If you're not getting home, what are you supposed to do as a defensive lineman? They all did it. Perrion Winfrey did it. Alex Wright did it. Jadeveon Clowney has made a living out of this in the NFL. Jadeveon Clowney puts up PBU numbers like a damn defensive back, for God's sakes. It was crazy impressive, the effort that those guys did yesterday. We saw a glimpse of where this defense is headed this year. And one thing at defensive tackle, we talked about it. Look, it wasn't going to be something that was going to show up this week against the Panthers. Christian McCaffrey's never been a guy who made his living between the tackles. We'll see how it goes from here. But for everybody who's crying about the defensive tackle position, and nobody even mentioned it today, which means it wasn't an issue, we're going to go over here. We're going to just peek in AFC Northwise, what happened yesterday. Jets lost yesterday. We'll get a little to that here as we close it out. Again, Victory Monday, Locked On Browns. We appreciate everybody who makes Locked On Browns their first listen. I'm just going to say, look, we did hit the 3,000 subscribers on YouTube. We said by the first game, hey, by the time yesterday ended, we had those 3,000 subscribers. Let's get that number. Keep on climbing. Appreciate y'all so much. Prize Picks. Are you into daily fantasy? You got a Monday nighter tonight. You got the Seattle Seahawks. You've got Russell Wilson and the Denver Broncos. Russell Wilson stat line north of 290. Is that possible? Something that you're looking at? The way the Broncos running backs are going to work, it's tough. Who's going to get the yards? Who's going to get the touchdowns? The Broncos overall, can they get Jerry Jeudy involved? Can they get Cortland Sutton involved? So go ahead, check that out. I love to use daily fantasy with separate games, primetime games. Simple way to work, how it works. Pick 2 to 5 players. If they go and score more or less than the Prize Picks projection, you can win up to 10% of your money on entry. Not competing against other people. It's just you versus the projections available. Prize Picks offers projections on any sport you watch, NFL, MLB, of course, college football. It's all there for you. Entries can be made in 60 seconds or less. It's extremely easy. Safe and fast withdrawals, currently operational in over 30 states in Canada. Download the Prize Picks app or go to prizepicks.com right now to sign up and play daily fantasy sports. First-time users can receive a 100% instant deposit match up to $100 with the promo code. You put in 75, they give you 75. You put in 100, they give you 100. Simple, easy peasy. Don't forget to enter the promo code Locked On, all caps, no space, at sign up for an instant deposit match of up to $100.
Welcome back to the Locked On Brown podcast. What a big time win for the Cleveland Browns. Make sure you're following us. Make sure you're following Locked On Browns on Twitter. Make sure you're following Garrett Bush at GBush91 on Twitter. And make sure you're following Jeff Lloyd at Jeff_LJ_Lloyd. And coming up, we will get to tomorrow, a little preview. As always, we'll have John Costco on Pro Football Focus. He'll come in and help us break us down with some grades and some film study from the Browns versus Panthers, and also help us look forward to the next week against the Jets. We look around the AFC North a little bit. I always say the games in the beginning of the season count just like the games at the end of the season count. My mom always told me that, hey, son, when you're in school, it's always easier to get an A or B on that first test and set yourself up right than come in with a C or D, and now you got to dig yourself out of a hole. And so what I'm looking at is the Browns could have been digging themselves out of a hole today. I thought they thoroughly outplayed the Panthers for 95% of that game. That game was in tow. They dominated from whistle to whistle in most areas of the game, but that 5% let them back in the game. I'll say this, when you look at the games and where we're moving forward, they need to set themselves up and set themselves up to get some wins here coming up early in this little stretch, because we never know who's quite good. When you say projecting that the Jets are bad or projecting that the Atlanta Falcons are bad or the Steelers or whatever the case may be, you're projecting based on the history or what you know that organization to be. But from year to year, there's always one team that goes from worst to first. Year to year, there's always one team that gets messed up because of injuries and different things like that. And I think you're just looking at a case where this is a situation where the Browns need to capitalize off of all of that. capitalize on what you need to do, get this win, and you look around. Cincinnati didn't come out like game busters. Cincinnati looked like they got a little hangover from the Super Bowl. Pittsburgh got a win. Baltimore, for all they said, they came out, took care of business with the Jets. Lamar Jackson did it with his arm and his feet. And it looked like they didn't miss Hollywood Brown too much. But around the AFC North, I'm glad the Browns got that dub. And that's, for me, we got to continue to do. And that's the only thing I'm worried about. Your thoughts on the Bengals and the Steelers?
I think, if you're a fan, and look, you never be for injury, but you do take it into account what happened. If TJ Watt, if it's, any type of torn pec, it could be most of the season, if not all of the season. There's no dismaying, there's no poo-pooing is. Talking about the guy who was the defensive player of the year in the NFL last year he's a huge, huge part of what the Pittsburgh Steelers do. And maybe it worked out, in a great fashion for everybody in the AFC North. The Pittsburgh Steelers are able to beat the Cincinnati Bengals in a game that got a little wonky. Bengals without their long snapper, and you got to have somebody else that can snap, man. You got to have somebody else that can snap. There's got to be somebody on that roster somewhere along the line in their football career was a long snapper. Something that, tough loss for the Bengals, certainly. But then again, you look at it from the Bengals standpoint, you turn the ball over 5 times, you don't deserve to win many football games. You don't. So, nobody's feeling bad for the Cincinnati Bengals there. But if you get Pittsburgh and, Cincinnati now behind the 8 ball, Pittsburgh could be without the defensive player of the year for, if not most of the season, if not all of the season. That's a huge break for everybody in the AFC North. And I don't want to hear, everybody thought Pittsburgh was going to go 4th, last year. Yeah. Look, I'll admit it. I've been trying to run that Pittsburgh train off the tracks for 3 seasons now, and it still hasn't worked. If I still run it off the tracks this season? Yeah, I am. So maybe 4th time will be a charm. But losing TJ Watt obviously could be a massive, massive blow for that team. And I'll be honest, I don't think Lamar Jackson really even looked like Jackson yesterday, which is scary. That is the scariest part is, 3 touchdowns, 200 yards. You saw some of the runs, just absolute electricity within those legs. I'm sure there is a motivation factor there as Lamar Jackson turned down $133 million guaranteed from the Baltimore Ravens. And I will be honest with you, if he knows that Deshaun Watson is getting $238 million guaranteed, you came in $100 million less? $100 million less. Like, what else did you expect the guy to say to you? $100 million less. What do you expect the guy to, like, no, man, we good. I got news for you. You ever get tired of me, I go home to South Beach, and they're going to let me write the check myself. So for Lamar ain't in no bad spot here. But you look, if you want to say for all intents and purposes now, Pittsburgh essentially would be leading the AFC North because being 1-0, their win also comes within a division. Baltimore, 1-0, held their opponent to the least amount of points. Browns, 1-0, caveat for the Browns, scored the most points yesterday. So for the AFC North, I think it was, it was an interesting day, certainly, in that Pittsburgh-Cincinnati game. And, for those of you who were with us at the very beginning of the post-game show, Adam the Bull really, really want to make sure y'all got some AFC North coverage in there as well. Just teasing, Bull, just teasing. But, that one for Pittsburgh, hey, and that's, for Pittsburgh, everything you went through. And look, Mr. Trubisky did not look good, but he looked good in overtime on that drive, and that's what mattered. Pittsburgh gets out with the W on the road, losing their star player. Bengals now behind the 8 ball, although they're going to get a little bit of an easy one next week, as it looks like they're going to play the Cowboys, who will not have Dak Prescott. And Browns, Jets coming to town for the Browns opener. First energy is going to be off the charts. It is going to be off the charts next Sunday with the momentum of 1-0. And Joe Flacco, who's got about as much mobility as the Statue of Liberty right now, having to deal with Myles Garrett and the Browns. Jets already on their 3rd left tackle. 3rd left tackle going against Myles Garrett. Another chance for him to, basically replicate what he did this week, get that momentum going. It was a big day. And I think, look, first of all, you see the excitement, everybody in social media, Garrett, all the guys like us in the content, guys and gals, I should say, in the content creator business, all fired up. That offseason is long, man. It really is. And when we get back into it, and it's crazy, it's only 17 more of these.
This is what makes football so great. Only 17 of these, man. So, especially, and I was laughing and joking the other day, I said, man, only in the Browns community, because you know what I'm talking about. I said, when the Browns win, you be everywhere on the internet looking up everything about the Browns. You check all the main street outlets. You be all on Twitter. You be looking at ESPN, like, hey, y'all talk about the Browns. You listen to every doggone podcast. That's how it is, man. Right now, everybody is looking around like, yo, Browns won. I'm looking to see what kind of smack somebody talking. You still talking or no? You good? You finished? So we got 16 more of these, and I couldn't be more excited looking forward to next week. We got the Jets. We'll start breaking that down for you guys this week. It's gonna be a beautiful ride.
So you have the post-game show waiting for you. It was a little longer. I'm going to tell you right now, everybody locked on. They gave us the okay to run with the hours, so you got it. But the best part is the whole point of going at the 2-minute warning was maybe there was some game action. A little bit more nervous than we were liking for. But and of course it was funny the way the footage came in. Garrett and Bull had it first. Then I even knew, but I'm like, well, I still want to see it, man. And then Mike obviously got it over his way. So that was a blast. So make sure you're checking that out. You obviously have this episode. We're going to get with John Costco a little later today. We'll get through the PFF aspect of it. Then page turns. JETS coming for the Browns for the home opener on Sunday. As always, we appreciate everybody who makes Locked On Browns their first listen, whether it's on your favorite podcast platform or, of course, here now on YouTube, 3,000 subscribers. Make sure the notifications are on. When the content hits your phone, we'll let you know that it is there for you to digest. So, absolute blast. We're having a fun time here. 1-0 for the first time 18 years. Big time right now for Cleveland Browns. He's Garrett Bush, part of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. Mondays through Friday, 11 to 1. It'll be popping over there today. I'm assuming they're probably going to have a bouncer for the amount of people that are going to try to get into that episode today. So Tim Couch, DeQuell Jackson, but you only may get 5 minutes today, guys. So get your best points out there as quick as possible. Make sure you're checking that out, of course. 92.3, The Fans at the Barbershop. Garrett over there every Saturday morning, of course, numerous other appearances, so make sure you're checking that out. Follow Garrett at GBush91, myself, Jeff Lloyd, at Jeff_LJ_Lloyd, the show at Locked On Browns, follow back account, DMs are open. Crazy good 24 hours thus point for your Cleveland Browns. Let's keep this feeling going because it's important. This team needs to know that it is a lively option week in, week out to win football games while they wait for Deshaun Watson's suspension to end. All that being said, Victory Monday, Browns 1-0. This has been your daily delivery of all things Dog Pound. LGB on the LOB. Let's go Browns.